Hello and welcome to the Milan Talk podcast. I'm your host Samit Paul, and finally, after a lengthy absence due to the international break, Milan are back in action on Sunday as they take on Cagliari. Today's order of play is as follows. I'll be previewing Sunday's clash, as well as talking about the possible arrival of Ivan Gazidis from Arsenal to potentially become our new CEO. Also on the agenda is transfer talk, but I will be specifically talking about picking a midfielder who could finally address that key area of the squad, and of course I'll be going through all your Twitter comments as usual. But first, let's kick things off with the preview. Now, of course, we go into it off the back of that late great win over Roma last time out. It did come before the international break, so there is a danger that perhaps our momentum may have been disrupted, but I am confident that confidence boost we got from that Roma win, we can take that with us into this game. And it's a very winnable game without being big-headed or underestimating Cagliari. On paper, it's a game that we should be winning, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we do get the job done. However, having said that, Cagliari did pick up an impressive win in Bergamo over Atalanta last time out. That was their first win of the season after losing to Empoli and drawing 2-2 with Sassuolo. So a bit of a mixed bag from them as well. But they've shown they're improving. And like I said, we cannot afford to take them lightly. 3 goals scored, 4 goals conceded. So argument could be made that they're not the most potent of outfits and they're going to be a bit leaky at the back. So let's just hope that we can exploit both ends of the pitch and get 3 points. In terms of the head-to-head, we've won 7 of the last 10 meetings. Cagliari have won just 1 of those clashes. We won 2-1 in the same fixture last season thanks to a double from Kessie, but we did lose 2-1 the year before that on the road. So all in all, I think that historically it favours us. We do a good job against Cagliari for the most part, and it'd be great to see that trend continue, of course, this weekend. In terms of the probable 11, Gazzetta dello Sport have gone with Donnarumma in goal, Calabria, Busacchio, Romagnoli, Rodriguez in the back, Kessie, Biglia, Bonaventura in midfield, and then Suso, Higuain and Çalhanoğlu up front. So that's, of course, an unchanged side from the Roma win. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that's what we go with. You know, if it's not broke, there's no need to fix it. Talk from Sky on Thursday that Caldara and Laxalt were played in training as part of the starting unit. I think the same was said before the Roma game, and they both ended up starting on the bench. So I'm not going to look too much into it. I think Musacchio and Rodriguez did well against Roma for the most part, so I don't really see a need to change that for this game. So let's see if Gattuso switches it up, but I wouldn't expect it to be done. No suspensions. Conte and Strinic remain out, but Montolivo has picked up some fitness issues, I believe, over the international break. I don't know how, but I think that's just a sign of what he can actually contribute now. And Cutrone is out with an ankle knock that he picked up while he was playing for the Italy under-21, so that's a concern. Of course, we have spoken before about the lack of depth and quality up front. We've got rid of Silva, Kalinic and Bacca this summer. That only leaves us with Higuain and Cutrone up front. Let's hope Higuain comes through unscathed. Let's hope he gets off the mark and scores his first goal for us. But with Cutrone out for this one, we are light, so we can only hope that doesn't come back to haunt us. But overall, yeah, it's the same as we were before against Roma. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's the same 11. Looking at Cagliari's lineup, Pavoletti seems to be the danger man. He scored a brace against Sassuolo, so we've got to keep an eye out for him. Sau, Barella, Paduin, Serna. They've got a decent team on paper, but let's be honest, without being big-headed or underestimating them, they've got a very beatable 1-2. So I do expect us to get the job done and get 3 points. But that doesn't say for 1 minute that we need to take these guys lightly. We've seen that happen so many times in the past where we've gone into games thinking we're going to win it easily. We've made life difficult for ourselves. Fingers crossed we can show that we've learnt the lessons and we can go in and do a professional job and get all 3 points. Moving on to Gazidis. Now, I've spoken to a friend of mine who's an Arsenal fan, and for what it's worth, he did praise Gazidis for the role that he's played in terms of building the commercial brand and the deals that he's put in place for Arsenal to become profitable. Now, the ongoing criticism, of course, will be that alongside Wenger, they didn't spend a great deal of money. They were very conservative in the transfer market. And whether or not he's going to continue that same sort of strategy and approach when he comes to Milan, if he comes to Milan, that's going to be a problem. For me, I don't think that's going to happen. I think different circumstances, different owners, different club. I wouldn't expect him to shy away from giving Leonardo and Maldini what they need to strengthen the squad. Could be completely wrong. We don't know until he actually comes in, but I think he's an astute businessman for what we know from his time at Arsenal as well, in terms of the work that he did off the pitch, into building the commercial brand. And I think he will be a positive appointment for us. Obvious concerns, but that comes with any appointment. But Elliott haven't let us down so far. Any of the appointments that they've made, they seem to be fitting with their mould and their strategy of what they want to achieve at Milan. I think Gazidis is another step towards that. Let's not skate around the fact that Elliott see Milan as a business. They want to make it profitable, and Gazidis seems to be the right man to do that. Let's just hope that it doesn't have a negative knock-on effect to things on the pitch. If that's the case, then I'm absolutely fine with Gazidis coming in. He's a safe bet. We know what he can do. We've seen his track record at Arsenal, and I personally believe it's a positive arrival. Now, I've seen various videos from Arsenal fans as well saying that he's dragging his feet, he's demanding big salaries, like if he wants to go, then go. Fine. I think you can only judge a person from the job that they do for your club and not for somewhere else. So if he comes, then let's see what he can do. But I do believe it's a decent appointment, and we'll have to wait and see what he does. On to transfer talk. Now, of course, there's a number of names being linked with us. You've got Ramsey, Fabregas, Lucas Paqueta, Paredes, Rabiot. Common denominator for all those names is, of course, the fact that we look like we're after a midfielder. Now, in terms of who I like and who I believe is a realistic option to fill the voids in midfield, I wrote a piece this week on my ESPN blog saying that Fabregas is our man. Now, the reason for this is I think he ticks a lot of the right boxes. Yes, he's got a lot of miles on the clock. I do agree with that. He's played a lot of games for Barcelona and Chelsea over the years. He's picked up a number of injuries along the way. So yes, he's not the freshest and the youngest kind of option that we could go for. But what I will argue in his favour is that he is still only 31. There's a lot of miles on the clock left to go as well. I think he's potentially a move to Italy would be great for him. I think the top sides, including Milan, have the ability to slow the tempo of games, to dominate possession. I think that will suit him to the ground, and that will allow him to kind of extend his career and play that more prominent role in the latter stages of his career as well. He's experienced, he can help the younger players through tricky times, he could bring the leadership that we're kind of lacking at the moment. You know, if you're looking at a spine of Donnarumma, Romagnoli, Fabregas and Higuain, I think you could do a lot worse. But just overall, I think he brings a winning pedigree with him from his time at Chelsea and Barcelona, multiple league titles. He's obviously done it on the international stage with Spain in the European Championships and World Cup. Again, in terms of looking at it from a realistic point of view, you look at his current situation at Chelsea, he's fallen down the pecking order while he's been out injured. Sarri's got his own ideas and approaches and style of play with Jorginho and Kovacic coming in, with Kante, Barkley, others there that he can deploy in the roles that he wants. I think Fabregas is surplus to requirements at Chelsea, and especially the fact that his contract expires next summer. Whether that's a cut price deal in January, whether that's a move on a free transfer in the summer, I think it's a great signing. Whether it doesn't even have to be the only signing we make. I think we can do more in midfield. Even Rabiot, if he's available on a free still as well, I think that's a double signing that we can make to really add quality to the midfield. But I have no objections with Fabregas if he arrives. I think he's a perfect fit for Gattuso's new style of play as well. We're building from the back. Yes, Biglia is vital. He's very, very important. He's got a big role to play defensively, providing that shield and coverage in front of the back line, and just a tidy possession that he does offer when he's on form and on it. I think he's very important to us. But if you're talking about linking the defence to the attack, to pull the strings in a deeper role, Fabregas has got all the attributes and the experience to do that much better. You know, we're talking about a player that, yes, isn't the most mobile. He's not got the greatest amount of strength, but I think he makes up for it in other ways. And I think moving to Italy will just help him continue to showcase that quality that he's got. So for me, Fabregas is the ideal move for us and for him. And I'd like to see that happen. But whether or not it does, we obviously have to wait and see. Like I mentioned, there's various names coming up. Ramsey's also going to potentially be available on a free transfer as well. So different kind of role, I think. So again, whether it's multiple signings or not, I still think Fabregas is the man that we need to go for in terms of adding that real quality and deeper role. Moving on to your Twitter comments, combination of predictions and comments, and the question that I asked, of course, was who is the midfielder that you'd like to see join us? At Samir Mohammed 72, we've got to win that match against Cagliari. His prediction is 2-1, a brace from Higuain. Samir doesn't know much about Gazidis, but he's heard he doesn't like spending. And also he thinks that getting Fabregas on a free would be great. Again, I'm going to agree with your Fabregas pick, of course, given I've just picked him myself. I think he would be a great addition, especially on a free transfer. I think that would be a great bit of business from us. Your reservations over Gazidis are warranted. Again, obviously going by track record at Arsenal, didn't spend a great deal. Purse strings were pretty tight at the Emirates for the most part since he arrived in 2008, I believe it was. But I think, again, like I said, I think different club, different circumstances. If Elliott want to spend the money, which by all accounts so far they're willing to do, I think Gazidis is just there to kind of ensure that we don't go overboard and that things off the pitch commercially are moving in the right direction for them to sell us on for a profit further down the line. So for me, I think Gazidis is fine, but we'll have to, again, like I said, wait and see. Your prediction 2-1 with a brace from Higuain, that would be amazing. I think it would be a perfect time now for him to get off the mark, kind of break his duck and get that off his shoulders. I think he is obviously going to be our danger man, and let's hope that we can see that quality shine through and he gets the goals that we need. At Fernie_13, so from the looks of things, our top targets for the summer are Rabiot, Lucas Paqueta and Leandro Paredes for the midfield. Yeah, I mean, though again, like I said to you on Twitter, those are 3 names that have been linked with us. Whether or not one of them actually arrives remains to be seen. Fabregas, Ramsey appear to be the ones in flavour in the last couple of days, so it's going to change between now, January and next summer. There's going to be various targets coming on the radar. Lucas Paqueta is an interesting one because I believe there was a report suggesting that Kaká might be influential in making that deal happen. I really like the idea of him being a scout, sort of working with the club over in Brazil, finding the talents. You'd like to think that he knows a great player when he sees one. So if he can be influential in that, fantastic. Let's see what we can do. But yeah, I think we're probably going to go for a bit more experience in terms of Fabregas or Ramsey if that option is available to us. At the Milanisti 11, the prediction for Cagliari Milan is 3-0 to Milan. 2 goals from Higuain, 1 from Suso. So Higuain amongst the goals for many of you. As for midfielders, I'd love to see us sign Ruben Neves from Wolves. With all due respect, he's far too good for them and he would provide a long-term solution for the regista role, as Biglia is a bit hit and miss. Again, completely agree with you. Ruben Neves would be a great shout. Again, though, is it the direction that the club are going to go in? I think we've got enough young quality talent. Do we need more experience now rather than going for younger players who have still got to prove themselves at the highest level? No doubt about it, he's got immense quality. We've seen it for Wolves and Portugal. Yeah, so that would be a fantastic signing, but let's just wait and see if we can prize him away from Wolves. I'm sure there's going to be no shortage of suitors for him, so whether or not we're a priority for him, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, agreed with you. I think he'd be great for the regista role. Yeah, and 3-0 against Cagliari. I think it's going to be a popular choice. Everyone's going to go for a win, so let's just hope that they deliver and don't disappoint us. At Spidey0816, my prediction is 2-0 to Milan, goals by Çalhanoğlu and Higuain. I think we'll show more confidence on the ball and we will see a more comfortable version of our play than we saw against Roma. As for the midfielder, Ruben Neves definitely is the top of my wish list. Fabregas would be phenomenal. I also would like us to look at Barella. Younger but very experienced already. Neves could take over the Biglia spot with ease. Fabregas brings poise and creativity and leadership. Couldn't settle for one. And then question also, how long do you think till Laxalt gets the nod at left back? I mean, I'd like to think that it's going to happen sooner rather than later. I'd like to see it against Cagliari, but again, we're going to be kept waiting, I think, for that one. I do think it's a matter of time. I think Rodriguez was good against Roma, but if that inconsistency starts to creep in again, I think Gattuso is going to get to a point where he's just like, okay, time for Laxalt to come in, give him a shot, see what he can do over 90 minutes. And I actually think once Laxalt gets in, I think Rodriguez might have a difficult time getting back in the team. So that's going to be something to look out for. But yeah, I think hopefully, fingers crossed, more sooner rather than later, I think Laxalt will get a shot. And Jay, in terms of your midfielder picks, agreed, Ruben Neves again seems to be a popular shout, and why not? He is a top player already at such a young age. Fabregas would be phenomenal. So yeah, I mean, going with my pick, I think it would be a great addition for us. But you're right, I think more than one is probably needed. If you're looking at the list of midfielders that we've got right now, Jose Mari, Ricardo Montalivo, Andrea Bertolacci, you don't look at that list of players and think, yeah, we've got a great team to compete at the highest level and to compete on multiple fronts. There's just not enough quality in that group of players. So for me, I think, yeah, if we can get Fabregas on a free and maybe even splash out on Neves, get them both in, that would be an absolutely ideal transfer window. But yeah, we'll have to see if that's just wishful thinking or not. At Abba_Milan, I prefer Fabregas because he has massive experience and can add the needed quality into our midfield. My prediction for Cagliari Milan is 2-0 Milan, goals from Higuain and a spectacular free kick from Çalhanoğlu. Again, everyone's going for Higuain to score, Çalhanoğlu again, so yep, another 3 points, let's hope so. I'd love to see that happen. And Fabregas pick, yep, good shout. Again, like I can't disagree with you because he's my pick, so yeah, Fabregas is certainly a top choice. To look at it from a different angle, at Susu KTG, I haven't given it much thought in terms of who would be first choice for the midfield solution, but Fabregas is finished physically. He was a wonderful player, but his lack of dynamism will offset any technical benefits in his opinion. We should be looking for someone no older than 28 Since 2008, our squad has had too many veterans. I'm going to agree and disagree with you. I think you're right. You're perfectly right about the whole Fabregas point about physically there's question marks. 31, he has played a lot of games, and yes, he's on the decline. There's no doubt about that. And I do agree, if there is a viable option under 28, a quality addition that we can make, then go for it. Why not? Since 2008, our squad has had too many veterans. I mean, we have got a very young squad at the moment, so I probably wouldn't agree with that entirely. But yes, in terms of veterans that are surplus to requirements, they've hung around for too long. They should have gone much earlier. Yes, I agree with you there. But Fabregas at 31, I think he's got a good 3-4 years left in him in Italy to do a great job for us. So I'd be in full support of that move. And then finally, at Wise Old BHJ, Biglia does a lot to help the defence with Fabregas. I would like his skills in the middle though, but we'll take him on a free all day. Agreed. I think, yeah, Fabregas isn't going to give you that defensive solidity that Biglia brings. I think Biglia isn't the most mobile in the general sense. I think he does get around well to intercept and pick off passes and do a great job defensively. So there's no doubt about Fabregas not being able to do the kind of job that he does. But I just think with Fabregas coming in, you may even see a slight change, whether that's asking Kessie to kind of drop back a little bit further back to offer that defensive shield and do the work around Fabregas to allow him to then pull the strings and be in possession. I think that might just be a little tweak that Gattuso could make to kind of offset your point about losing that defensive solidity in midfield. Jack does his fair share of tracking back and running and defensive work, so I've got no reservations over him doing a great job for us as well. So a mixed bag. I do agree with you. I think we do lose something with Biglia if he does drop out and Fabregas comes in, but I think Fabregas brings more positives to the table. So yeah, let's see how that pans out. If he does arrive, of course, we've got to wait until January at the earliest. If we do a cut price deal with Chelsea, then great. Otherwise, whether it's waiting until next summer on a free, we'll have to wait and see. Right, guys, that's a wrap for this podcast. Thank you all for listening. As usual, you can find me at Milan Talk 1 on Twitter and Facebook. Of course, I'll be back on Sunday with my player ratings and thoughts on the Cagliari game, hopefully analysing and assessing and breaking down another win for us. It's been far too long since we've had the domestic football. Cannot wait for Serie A to come back this weekend. I do like the international break. There is a certain charm to international football that still remains, especially with the Nations League now as well, making it a bit more competitive and worthwhile. But there is nothing like watching Milan on a Saturday, Sunday night or whatever timing kickoff is. And I just cannot wait now because it's going to be a busy schedule. We've got Europa League next week as well. Straight back in it with Serie A at the weekend. And then, of course, the catching up with games as well. And just generally, the fixture list is back. Milan are back and I cannot wait. So thanks for tuning in. Leave your comments below on the midfielder pick. Who do you want to see us bring in January or next summer? Other transfer talk targets. Let me know who you want to see arrive next year. And your predictions for the Cagliari game, leave below as well. But until Sunday, thanks for tuning in and Forza Milan.